7-day ceasefire in Syria, brokered by the US and Russia last Monday, is now over, and it's unclear if it might be prolonged. We can get more details now from RT's Lizzie Phelan, who joins us. Lizzie, it was a shaky ceasefire, wasn't it? We know, largely speaking, the violence had lessened considerably, but there were accusations always on both sides too that the ceasefire had been violated.
Hi, Andrew. That's right. Well, that 7-day ceasefire brokered by the Americans and the Russians is now officially over. And it appears that all sides are not ready for the next stages that they had planned. Now, initially, it was expected that the Russians and the Americans would start cooperating and coordinating their air campaigns against both ISIL and the formerly named al-Nusra Front, now named Fatah al-Sham, after 7 days. But so far, both sides aren't exactly happy with how the truce went, and both are blaming each other for not meeting the terms for further cooperation. Now, the Russian Defense Ministry says that the truce was only observed by the Syrian government, and it gave rebels the opportunity to regroup. They also blame the Americans for not influencing the so-called moderate opposition further, and say that they failed to convince the moderate rebels to separate from groups like al-Nusra. In fact, they say that they've merged even further. At the same time, the opposition are blaming the government for violating the ceasefire. However, despite stopping short from fulfilling its goals, the ceasefire did bring some relief. In fact, John Kerry was optimistic today when he met with his Vatican counterpart. He said that the basic ceasefire was holding. Let's take a quick listen.
Secretary, is the ceasefire in Syria holding?
Pretty well last night. Trucks are moving today to maybe 8 locations or more. So, we'll see where we are today.
Now, arguably, the biggest blow to that ceasefire was dealt by US-led coalition strikes on the Syrian army just a couple of days ago, which killed scores of Syrian army soldiers in Deir ez-Zor. Now, just to remind you, Syrian army soldiers have been besieged by ISIS there for years now, and those strikes led the Syrian army to lose some strategic positions against ISIS in the area. Now, we also learned that it wasn't just the Americans who were involved in those strikes. The Australians have also said they were involved, and today the UK also confirmed their involvement. A UK Defence Ministry spokesperson said, quote, "We can confirm that the UK participated in the recent coalition airstrike in Syria, south of Deir ez-Zor on Saturday, and we're fully cooperating with the coalition investigation. The UK would not intentionally target Syrian military units, but it would not be appropriate to comment further at this stage," end quote. Now, despite high hopes for this truce, those US-led strikes on the Syrian army have dealt a huge blow to any hopes for potential confidence-building measures between the Americans and the Russians, and thrown the status of the cooperation between those two countries in Syria into total disarray.